The outpost drifted at the edge of a dim red star, a small cluster of metal and glass hanging in the dark. It had once been a proud symbol of the coalition, a sign that peace and trade were spreading into wild space. Now most lights were dim. Many corridors were sealed. Whole sections of the station showed burn marks from old attacks. The command deck felt too quiet. Commander stood in front of the main window, her 4 narrow eyes focused on the scattered ships outside. Her skin plates, usually a bright blue, were dull with stress. Every few seconds, the long scar across her left arm pulsed with faint light, reacting to the tension in her body. She watched as their last escort frigate limped across the field of stars. Its engines flickered, and small pieces of wreckage drifted around it. The ship sent a short signal, and the translation system showed the words on the screen. Defense line broken, enemy regrouping, requesting new orders. There were no new orders to give. They had nothing left. "Tell them to dock," said. Her voice was calm, but the muscles in her jaw were tight, "and route all remaining power to the shield grid." Her second officer, a thin, pale figure named, tapped the controls with shaking hands. "Commander, the shield grid is already at maximum," said. "We have only 30% of the original capacity. If the raiders return in full, we cannot hold them back." "We will hold as long as we can," replied. "The Council is sending help. They must be." She stared at the status board on the wall. Several lights were red, weapons offline, outer ring damaged, medical bay overloaded. The Council's promised reinforcements were still nothing but a line of text in an old signal sent many cycles ago. For weeks, predators and raider species had tested them. First small probes, then a few quick strikes, then a major assault that had nearly torn the outpost apart. Every time the coalition sent messages to neighboring powers, asking for support, requesting aid, calling in old agreements. Almost all replies were the same: regret, excuses, delays. No ships came. Turned away from the window and faced the central display. It showed a map of their sector. Their outpost sat like a lonely beacon at the very edge. Around it, storm symbols marked pirate zones, unclaimed systems, and places where whole colonies had gone dark. Status of communications. "Long-range array is damaged but functional," said. "We can still send messages, Commander, but the last 5 distress calls were not answered." Already knew that. She had been the one who sent those calls. She had watched the timer count the days with no reply. A soft chime sounded from the door. Counselor entered, his dark robes brushing the floor. He carried a small data slate in one hand. His eyes, large and bright, flicked from to the screens. "Commander," said, "we have just received another report from the outer sensors. The raider fleet is regrouping. We estimate they will attack again within the next 2 hours. "How many ships?" asked. Pressed his fingers along the slate. "At least 20 major vessels plus smaller craft, more than we can handle." Let out a low, fearful sound. "Our defense grid cannot stop a fleet that size," he said. "They will shred the shields, then they will board us. We have civilians, families, children." "That is enough," said, not unkindly. "We know the stakes." Stepped closer. "We must evacuate," he said. "We can load as many people as possible into the remaining transports and attempt to break through the raider lines. Some will survive." "And the rest?" asked. Did not answer. Knew what the raiders did with the people they captured. Some were sold. Some were kept as trophies. Some were simply thrown out into space to watch them freeze. She turned back to the window, watching the wounded escort ship begin its slow approach to the docking ring. "If we run," said softly, "they will chase us. They will hunt us across this sector and the next one. They know this outpost holds resources, data, and technology they want. If we fail to hold, we give them a path straight to the inner coalition worlds." "And if we stay, we die," said. The command deck was silent for a few long breaths. Finally spoke again. You did not come here just to tell me we are doomed, counselor, she said. What else is on that slate? His fingers tightened on the device. There is another option, he said, one the council never intended for us to use. Looked at him, her eyes narrowing. Explain, she said. Took a slow breath. After the last Great War, the coalition signed many treaties, he said. We agreed to respect borders, to avoid weapons that could erase whole worlds, and to limit contact with certain dangerous species. His head tilted. Dangerous species. Nodded. One of them lies beyond the Eastern Rim, he said. A world classified as with conditions so harsh that most life forms cannot survive there. Yet one species not only survived but spread into space. Had heard the rumors, stories told in quiet places, whispers about a species whose home world was filled with storms, diseases, and predators. Humans, she said. The word felt heavy in the air. His hands froze above his console. We are not supposed to contact them, he said quickly. The directive is clear. They are too volatile, too unpredictable. Their history is full of wars. The Council's risk reports say they should not be drawn into coalition affairs unless there is no other choice. Lowered his gaze. And what do you call this? He asked. We have no fleet. Our nearest allies have turned away, pretending not to hear our calls. The raiders are closing in. Our people will die here and the raiders will push deeper into our space. If this is not no other choice, what is? Walked to the central console and placed her hand on the edge. You are suggesting we send SOS to a species the Council fears, she said. You are asking me to break one of our oldest restrictions. I am asking you to keep this outpost alive, replied. I am asking you to give our children a chance to see another sunrise. Shook his head. Commander, they call Eartha, he said. They say the humans grew up on a planet that tried to kill them every day. Storms, quakes, poisons, animals with too many teeth. What if the stories are true? What if they come here and decide we are weak? What if they decide we are not worth saving? Thought of the families sleeping in the lower decks. She thought of the small school where young ones tried to study while learning the sound of attack alarms. She thought of the list of names already lost from the last battle. What are the chances the raiders leave us alive if we do nothing? She asked. Hesitated. Small, he admitted. Stepped to the central console and placed the data slate next his hand. This slate contains an old emergency protocol, he said. It was written during the last war when some believed humanity might be needed as a final defense. Most of the Council forgot it existed, but our archive still had a copy. It includes a frequency and a message key. If we send SOS on that channel, we may reach them. Looked at the slate, then at. And if we do this, she said, we cannot take it back. No, agreed. Once the signal is sent, it will travel across the void. If the humans are truly as dangerous as the stories say, then perhaps we have invited a storm to our doorstep. But if they are as strong as the data suggests, perhaps that storm will stand between us and the raiders. Swallowed. Commander, please, he said. This is too big a choice to make alone. We should put it to a vote of the station council. We do not have time for debate, said. The raiders are almost here. We have hours, maybe less. The council would argue until the attack begins. She picked up the slate. The screen glowed softly, showing the emergency protocol. A simple message, translated into many languages. This call is for the of Earth, the first line read. We request aid, we request protection. In exchange, we offer alliance. Imagine the humans reading those words, somewhere far away. She imagined them deciding what to do. If we send this, she said, then we are placing the fate of this outpost into the hands of a species our leaders do not trust. Our leaders are far away, said quietly. We are the ones standing at the edge of the dark. We are the ones the raiders are coming to kill. We must decide for ourselves. closed her eyes for a moment. She had joined the Coalition fleet to protect quiet worlds and peaceful stations. She had believed in rules, in treaties, in careful agreements made in calm voices. Now the rules felt thin and fragile, like old fabric ready to tear. She opened her eyes. She said, "Prepare the long-range array. Align it with the coordinates in this protocol." Hesitated. "Commander." "That is an order," said. After a moment, nodded and began to work. Lines of data scrolled down his screen. Let out a long breath. "I will record this decision in the station log," he said. "History will judge us." "History can do that later," replied. "For now, I want us to survive long enough to have a history." She watched as the communication system aligned. The damaged array groaned as it rotated, light flickering along its broken edges. Power readings flashed in yellow and orange. "Signal path locked," said. "Range estimate many light cycles. The message will take time to reach them." "Send it," said. "Press the final command." For a moment, nothing happened. Then a low hum filled the deck as energy surged into the array. Outside the window, a narrow beam of pale light shot from the outpost into the dark, heading toward a point on the star map that marked the distant home of the... Felt a strange heaviness in her chest. "It is done," said softly. She nodded. "Now we see what the universe sends back," she said. Hours later, in a very different part of space, a human border relay station drifted in calm silence. It was built in a simple shape, a ring with a central hub, dark armor plates wrapped around its surface like protective hands. Long antenna arrays reached out in all directions, listening. Inside, human officers moved through wide corridors that hummed with a quiet, steady power. The walls were lined with panels labeled in English and other languages. Warning stripes marked the edges of doors and hatches. In the main operations center, Adam Brooks sat at his console, sipping a cup of coffee that had gone lukewarm. He was broad-shouldered and tire-dyed, with short dark hair that stuck up in places from too many hours on duty. The screens in front of him showed traffic logs, patrol routes, and a map of nearby systems. "Another quiet shift," Adam muttered. On the next console over, Laura King glanced up from her own screen. She was tall, with light brown hair pulled back into a simple knot. Her uniform was crisp, but her expression was relaxed. "You say that like it is a bad thing," Laura said. "I will take boring over combat any day." Adam shrugged. "I know," he said, "but even patrol duty could use a little variety." As if on cue, one of the sensor displays blinked. A soft chime sounded. Adam frowned. "What is that?" Laura tapped a series of keys. "Long-range channel," she said. "Some kind of narrow-beam transmission just hit the array, not from any of our usual contacts. The origin point is way out there." She pulled up the coordinates. A small dot appeared on their map at the edge of the monitored region. "That is on the far side of Coalition space," Laura said, "almost in unclaimed territory." Adam sat up. "Get me the message," he said. Laura already had the decryption systems working. Lines of code scrolled past, then settled into a simple text display. The computer marked the language as Coalition standard, then showed the translation. Adam read the first line. "This call is for the of Earth," he read aloud. "We request aid, we request protection. In exchange, we offer alliance." Laura stared. "You have got to be joking," she said. Adam scrolled down. "Station Omega 17, he read. "Under attack by raider fleets. Defenses failing. Population includes coalition citizens and refugees from multiple systems. Estimated time to destruction, short. All nearby allies have failed to respond. We send this signal as a last act of survival. Please, if you hear this, help us." Laura leaned back in her chair. "They are not supposed to contact us directly," she said. That was the whole point of the post-war agreements. They want us on our side of the border until they think they need us, and then they would ask nicely through 10 different channels. Adam's jaw tightened. Sounds like they already asked, he said. Sounds like nobody answered. Laura looked at the map again. That outpost is deep, she said. We would have to send a heavy fleet, and even then we do not know what we would be flying into. Adam sent the full message to the main command buffer. Command is going to see this in about 10 seconds, he said. I do not think the decision will be up to us. Laura sighed. No, she agreed, but I know one thing. What is that? If we go, she said, we will not go small, not for something like this. The main alert light flashed above them, and a higher priority chime echoed through the operations center. Other officers looked up, their conversations ending mid-sentence. All stations, stand by, the intercom voice said. We have received a Class 1 distress call from beyond Coalition space. Senior Command is reviewing. Prepare for possible fleet mobilization orders. Adam and Laura exchanged a look. So much for a quiet shift, Adam said softly. Far away, unaware of the decisions being made on the human station, Commander stood once more at the window of her failing outpost. In the distance, new shapes appeared on the sensors. The raider fleet was forming up again, dozens of ships moving like a storm front across the stars. Watched them come and wondered if anyone, anywhere, had heard their cry for help. She wondered what kind of beings would answer. On the human border relay, the atmosphere changed fast. What had been a slow, dull shift became heavy with focus and quiet tension. Screens lit up with new data, and officers moved with sharp purpose. Adam watched as the message from the distant outpost spread through command channels. More senior officers stepped onto the operations floor, their faces serious. Laura leaned closer to her console. Fleet Command is responding, she said. Priority signal. They want a full situation report. Adam nodded and sent the details. Coordinates, estimated distance, threat level, and the translated plea for help. Within minutes, the central display shifted to show a live link from High Command. A tall human officer appeared, his gray-streaked hair cut short, eyes sharp but calm. This is Admiral Morgan, the man said. Confirm the source of the distress call. Confirmed, sir, Adam replied. Origin is Coalition Outpost Omega-17, heavy raider presence. Their signal lists population including civilians and refugees. His expression tightened almost imperceptibly. Status of Coalition response, he asked. None detected, sir, Laura said. It appears they have been ignored by nearby systems. Silence hung for a moment. Send full data package to Fleet Command, ordered. Begin readiness protocols. We are standing up a response group. Adam blinked slightly. Sir, just to confirm, are we deploying? Look straight into the camera. We do not ignore a call for help, he said, especially not one this desperate. With that, the feed cut. On the operations floor, other officers exchanged looks. Some showed relief, others showed concern, none showed surprise. Laura exhaled slowly. They are really doing it, she said. Of course they are, Adam replied. That is what we do. Within hours, across human-controlled space, alarms began to sound. Massive hangar bays opened. Supply ships rolled out. Crews boarded vessels that had been idle only moments before. Dreadnought-class warships, each one a floating fortress, powered up their cores. Lights flared along their hulls as engines woke from low-power rest. Pilots and gunners ran through checks, securing seats, adjusting harnesses, and checking weapons systems. On the bridge of the lead vessel, stood with his hands clasped behind his back as the final preparations rolled in. His first officer, a steady woman named, walked up beside him. All ships report ready, Admiral, she said. Crew morale is high. They know this is a rescue mission. Good, replied. Plot the course. We jump as soon as the formation is locked. Distance is extreme, added. Multiple fold transitions will be required. We will still make it faster than anyone expects, said. Tend to surprise people. Allowed herself a faint smile and turned back to her station. In the hangar level below, rows of troops stood in neat lines, their armor clean, their weapons secured. Among them was Clark, checking his gear with calm care. His face was focused, but there was no sign of fear. Looks like we finally get to meet the people who think we are monsters, a soldier beside him said. Shrugged. If saving them makes us monsters, I can live with that, he replied. Back on the alien outpost, the first wave of the raider fleet came into clear view. They were ugly, uneven ships, bristling with sharp edges and mismatched weapons. Their engines burned a sickly green, leaving trails like scars across space. On the command deck, warning lights pulsed. The shield system whined under rising power demands. His voice trembled as he read the sensor data. They are locking weapons systems, he said. Multiple torpedo bays open. Impact in 3 minutes. Stood firm, though her heart beat faster. Activate countermeasures, she said. All defense cannons target the lead vessels. Outside, the first enemy shot struck the shield. A wave of bright energy rippled over the protective barrier, making the entire outpost glow. Children cried in the lower decks. Emergency sirens echoed through the corridors. Ceiling panels shook as the structure struggled to endure the assault. Shield strength at 25%, called, dropping fast. Watched in silence, his hands clasped in front of him. We have sent the call, he said quietly. Now all we can do is hold. And we will, replied, for as long as our walls stand. Another powerful blast hit the shield, and this time part of it flickered. Minor breach on the outer grid, shouted, rerouting power. Time felt thick and slow. Each impact sounded like the station itself was screaming. Far away, past layers of folded space, the human fleet moved like a silent tide. In the blackness, their engines formed distant halos of light. Dozens of massive vessels traveled in precise formation, following the lead of Dreadnought. On the bridge, a navigation officer spoke. First transition complete. Next fold in 30 seconds. Nodded. Keep it tight, he said. We do not want to arrive scattered. Glanced at the tactical display. No friendly signals yet in the target zone, she said. But enemy signatures are building. Looks like they are already engaged. Then we will not be late, answered. We will be right on time. As the next fold drive charged, the ship vibrated gently. A dull hum filled the bridge, then space bent once more, carrying them closer to the embattled outpost. On the station Omega-17, internal systems began to fail. Lights flickered. Oxygen recyclers coughed and sputtered. Bulkhead 32 compromised, reported. We have venting on the outer ring. Sealit said, reroute survivors through the inner corridors. More explosions struck. Fragments of debris clanged against the outer hull. The steady rhythm of impacts began to feel endless. Commander said, his voice barely more than a whisper, if help does not come soon, there will be nothing left to save. Said nothing, but her gaze stayed fixed on the stars, as if she could somehow will aid to arrive faster. Then suddenly, the sensor console beeped loudly. Froze. New energy signatures, he said. Massive ones, warping in, not raiders. Show me, said. The main display shifted. Where only enemy vessels had filled the screen, vast new shapes now began to appear. One by one, they tore through reality itself, emerging from distorted space like metal giants stepping through a storm. The first vessel dwarfed even the largest raider ship. Its surface was smooth and armored, bands of white light running across it. Behind it came another, and then more, filling the void with overwhelming presence. On the raider side, movement faltered. Some ships changed course, others hesitated. "Identify source," said, her voice tight but hopeful. His eyes widened as the data resolved. "Transponder codes human," he breathed. "It is a fleet." Stared at the screen in stunned silence. "They came," he murmured. One of the human ships sent a directed transmission to the outpost. The signal cut through interference with clear strength. The translator rendered the simple message. "This is Admiral Morgan of the Human Defense Fleet. Remain behind our line. We will handle the rest." Felt her chest tighten with a mix of shock and relief. "Open channel," she said. "Send gratitude and confirm our position." His hands now steady with awe instead of fear. As the message went out, the human fleet shifted into a wide defensive arc, placing its massive hulls directly between the raiders and the damaged station. Energy shields flared to life on each vessel, forming a protective wall of light. On the raider side, a few ships fired, but their shots splashed harmlessly against the far stronger human barriers. Then the human dreadnoughts responded. From their sides, precise beams of concentrated fire struck the raider formations. Not wild chaos, but controlled, deliberate strikes. Engines were disabled. Weapons arrays were burned out. Key ships lost power and drifted away, silent and broken. Inside the outpost, every being watched in stunned quiet. "Their weapons, they are not even overloading," said. "They are cutting the raiders apart without collapsing their own systems." Leaned forward, breath caught. "They are choosing their targets," she said. "They are not just destroying, they are controlling the battlefield." Outside, the raiders began to fall back, some trying to flee, others scrambling into poor defensive patterns. But the human fleet maintained its measured advance, pressing them further from the station, maintaining the protective ring. On the bridge of the lead dreadnought, watched the battle feed with a calm eye. "Main guns keep pressure on their lead ships," he ordered. "Do not let them regroup. Escort wings cover the flanks." Relayed the commands, her voice steady. "Hostiles are breaking formation," she said. "Casualties climbing. They did not expect this level of response." "Most never do," replied. "But we did not come here to scare them. We came here to end this." In the hangar, and his squad waited for further orders. Through a display screen, they could see the first phase of the fight unfolding. "Never gets old," one soldier muttered as another raider ship lost power and drifted off burning. Said nothing. His eyes stayed focused, ready for when the command to board or secure came down. Back at the outpost, the commander allowed herself a slow breath. For the first time in many cycles, the sensors did not show immediate doom. Instead, they showed distant hope wrapped in steel and light. His gaze lingered on the image of the leading human vessel. "So this is what they look like when they answer a call for help," she said quietly. Nodded, his eyes shining. "And we feared them," he replied. "We almost let that fear kill us all." The battle had not yet ended, but the balance had changed. The tide of destruction that once rushed toward the outpost was now being driven back by an entire human fleet that had crossed vast darkness just to stand between strangers and death. The space around the outpost burned with light as the battle continued. Human ships moved with smooth purpose, each one holding its place while striking with care and strength. Raider vessels tried to regroup, but every attempt was broken before it could settle. On the command deck of the outpost, watched the data streams flow. Numbers that once showed certain loss now told a different story. Enemy counts dropped. Their firing lines weakened. Their movement turned wild and scared. "Raider formation collapsing," said, his voice filled with disbelief. "They are attempting retreat patterns." "Do not lower shields yet," replied. "We stay guarded until the last hostile leaves this sector." Nodded slowly. "They did not just send one ship," he said in quiet awe. "They sent a whole army." Outside, the human fleet shifted again. A ring of smaller escort craft spread outward, chasing fleeing raiders and cutting off escape routes. On the lead dreadnought, watched the tactical feed with narrow focus. "Do not overextend," he instructed calmly. "Priority is the protection of the outpost. Secondary is the neutralization of remaining threats." Glanced at an incoming signal. "We have a response from the station commander," she said. "They are holding position and sending thanks." "Acknowledge," said. "Tell them they did the right thing staying put." Transmitted the reply, her tone respectful and clear. In the lower hangar, tightened his grip on his rifle as the green light above the door pulsed. "Boarding action incoming," the squad leader announced. "Raider flagship disabled but still powered in sections. We secure and clear." Nodded, his heart beat steady as the loading clamps locked onto their transport craft. Moments later, they were flying toward the dark hull of the raider ship. The enemy vessel looked like a twisted mass of metal and bone. Sections leaked vapor. Broken panels spun slowly away into open space. "Airlock breach on Sector 3, the pilot said. "That is our entry." The craft latched on with a heavy jolt. The boarding tunnel extended, and the squad moved through without hesitation. Inside, the air was hot and sharp with the smell of burned circuits and something organic. Dim red light flickered along uneven walls. Distant sounds echoed, harsh and frantic. "Keep tight," the squad leader whispered. "Clear as we go." Moved forward step by careful step. His boots crunched over broken plating. A shadow darted at the edge of his vision, and he raised his weapon. A raider burst from a side corridor, its limbs twitching and its eyes wide with fear and rage. Fired once. The shot was clean. The creature fell without another sound. More shapes moved further down the hall. The squad advanced, steady and controlled, pushing the invaders back room by room. Their movements were not cruel. They were precise, as if following a pattern learned long ago. Back on the outpost, shifted her attention to a smaller screen showing internal conditions. "Medical bay reports stabilizing," said. "Injured are being treated, panic levels decreasing." "Good," replied. "Inform them the human fleet holds the line." Look toward the main display again. "Do you think they will leave as soon as the fight is over?" he asked. Paused. "I do not know," she said. "But for now, they are the reason we still breathe." On the human bridge, observed another raider ship go dark and drift away. "We are gaining full control of the zone," reported. "Enemy resistance is light and scattered." "Maintain pressure," said. "They must not feel safe enough to try again." He glanced at a smaller screen showing the boarding teams in action. "How are the ground units?" "Steady progress," answered. "Casualties minimal. Unit is moving toward the core control chamber." Nodded once. He had seen many battles, but this one felt different. It was not about claiming land or power. It was about answering a call that no one else chose to hear. Inside the raider flagship, and his squad reached a wide chamber filled with tangled machinery. The main power lines pulsed dimly along the walls. "This is it," the squad leader said. "Plant charges on the core nodes. We shut this ship down for good." They spread out, working with care. Placed a charge and secured it, his eyes always alert for movement. One last raider stumbled from behind a control pillar, clutching a broken weapon. Its stance was weak, its movement slow. Aimed but did not fire right away. The creature lowered its head and made a rough sound that the translator struggled to define. Fear, surrender, desperation. "Hostile surrendering," said quietly into his comm, awaiting confirmation. "If it drops the weapon and does not advance, restrain," came the reply. "We do not kill those who stand down." Watched as the raider let its weapon fall. He moved in slowly and secured it, binding its limbs. "Stay calm," he said, though he knew the creature might not understand the words. "This is over." The squad finished placing charges and fell back toward the exit point. Once outside, They triggered the sequence. From the safety of open space, they watched as the raider ship shuddered. Internal light flared once, then faded. Its engines died completely, leaving only silent wreckage behind. Back on the outpost, cheers echoed through the corridors as more enemy contacts vanished from the sensors. Last major raider vessel destroyed or disabled, announced. Only minor craft remain, all retreating. Felt weight lift from her shoulders, though she kept her posture straight. Notify the human fleet we remain grateful and stable, she said, and ask for their status. Sent the message swiftly. Moments later, the reply came through. Outpost Omega-17, this is Human Fleet Command. Hostile forces are in full retreat. We will maintain a protective perimeter until you confirm full security and repair stability. Allowed a faint, tired smile to reach her face. They plan to stay, said softly. They will not leave us alone in the dark again. Watched the human ships from the viewing panel. They moved with calm grace now, no longer firing, just holding their positions like silent guardians. I would like to speak with their commander directly, she said. Nodded and opened a direct channel. The screen shifted and the image of a human appeared, detailed, real, and close. His expression was serious but not cold. His eyes held focus and a quiet strength. Commander, he said, your signal reached us. Your people are safe now. Tell me what support you require next. Inclined her head. Admiral, she replied. We did not believe anyone would answer. Our thanks are deep and true. Our systems are damaged but stable. What you have done today will be remembered long after our station is repaired. Nodded once. We do not measure worth by treaties alone, he said. Your call was clear. You asked for help. That means something where we come from. Studied his face. You come from a world the Council described as harsh and violent, she said. Yet you came not as conquerors but as protectors. Gave a small, tired breath that could have been a laugh. Earth teaches hard lessons, he said, but it also teaches loyalty, and when someone is cornered, we do not turn away. Silence settled between them, not tense but thoughtful. We intend to remain until your outer defense ring is restored, continued. After that, we can discuss further cooperation. You honor us, replied. We will coordinate repair access and emergency supply needs. As the channel closed, looked at her. That tone, he said slowly, it was not the voice of a monster. No, agreed. It was the voice of someone who chooses to stand between others and danger. In the human hangar, removed his helmet, wiping sweat from his brow. His squad sat nearby, catching their breath, exchanging quiet comments. Raiders pulled back hard, one soldier said. They will think twice before coming near this place again. Nodded. That was the idea, he said. He glanced toward a screen showing the outpost now bathed in the light of peaceful stars, no longer flashing red with danger. We saved them, another soldier murmured, almost surprised. We really did. They saved themselves too, replied. They chose to ask. Hours passed. Repair teams from both sides began coordinated work. Human drones assisted in sealing breaches. Power relays were reinforced. Damaged modules were stabilized. On the outpost, calm slowly returned. Families stepped out from safe rooms. Weak but grateful smiles appeared. Children stared out the viewports at the massive human ships with wide wonder. Walked through the corridors, observing her people. Where there was once only fear, there was now a quiet strength. They had endured and they had not been forgotten. She returned to the command deck and looked once more at the distant human vessels. Somewhere out there, beings from a deadly world had crossed vast emptiness simply because someone asked for help. And in that moment, understood that the galaxy was not as cold as she once believed. The stars around the outpost were calm again. No more enemy fire cut through the darkness. No more alarms echoed through the halls. The long nightmare had ended, but its memory still hung in the quiet air. Stood on the command deck, watching the slow movement of human repair craft floating around the station. Lines of light moved along damaged hull plates as welding beams sealed deep scars. Pieces of broken metal were carefully removed and guided away. She turned slightly as approached. "Shield stability is now at 40% and rising," he said. "External integrity improving. Life support normalized in most sectors." "And the people?" asked. "Resting," replied. "Many are still shaken, but they are speaking with hope again." Nodded, feeling that word settle deep inside her. Hope, a feeling she had almost forgotten. Entered soon after, carrying reports and data inserts. "The Council emergency line is active again," he said. "They have received news of the human intervention. They express surprise." "They had every chance to answer our calls," said. "They chose silence. We chose survival." Gave a faint nod, clearly agreeing. "They will send formal inquiries," he added. "They will ask about the human fleet, about their intentions." "Let them ask," replied. "We will answer with honesty." Not long after, a message arrived from the lead human dreadnought. It was not a formal order or tactical notice. It was a simple request. "Admiral requests permission to visit the station in person." Looked up in surprise. "Permission to board?" he asked. "Yes," said. "Grant docking clearance. Assign an escort detail, but keep it respectful." The docking clamps extended, and a human shuttle moved toward the station with smooth, steady control. Through the outer viewport, watched it approach, carrying the beings who had saved them all. A short time later, the inner airlock seals closed with a soft hiss, and stood ready as the door slid open. Stepped through first, followed by two guards. He removed his outer helmet, revealing a tired but composed face. His eyes surveyed the interior with calm curiosity. "Commander," he said with a polite nod, "thank you for granting access." "You do us no harm here," replied. "You have earned this welcome 100 times over." His gaze softened slightly. "We came as allies," he said. "We leave only if you wish us gone." "Not yet," said. "There is much to rebuild and much to understand." As they walked through the corridors, station residents paused in their movements, watching quietly. Some bowed their heads, others simply stared in amazement. Children peeked from behind their parents, curious and cautious. Offered small nods and gentle smiles, trying to ease their fear. The guards remained alert but non-threatening, their hands relaxed at their sides. In the observation hall, stopped before a wide window that overlooked the human fleet beyond. "Your ships are unlike anything we have seen," she said. "Your timing was exact, your control precise. We expected chaos and brutality. Instead, we saw discipline." Looked out at his fleet. "Discipline is what keeps us alive," he said. "Our world made sure of that. Earth never showed mercy to the weak, so we learned to strengthen each other." "Your world forged you," said quietly. "Yes," replied, "and it forged a promise. When someone sends in SOS and no one else answers, we answer." Stepped forward slightly. "Many in the council feared you," he admitted. "They called you unstable, dangerous, unpredictable." "We are dangerous," said honestly. "But danger can guard as well as destroy. It depends on where you stand." Silence filled the room, not awkward but thoughtful. "We stand with those who chose to help," said, "and you have helped more than you know." In the human hangar, walked off his transport shuttle after final clearance. His armor was marked with signs of battle, but his posture remained calm. He paused, looking back at the distant station one last time. Another soldier stepped beside him. "Never thought we would be welcomed by people who once feared us," the soldier said. Gave a quiet shrug. "Fear fades when you prove it wrong," he replied. On the outpost, restoration continued for cycles. Human engineers worked beside coalition technicians, sharing tools and ideas. New systems were installed. Defense grids were upgraded to standards the station had never imagined possible. Met often with and discussing safety protocols, future defense plans, and possible trade ties. No commands were forced. No demands were made. Everything was offered as cooperation, not pressure. Slowly, trust began to build. One evening cycle, as the station lights dimmed to simulate rest hours, stood alone on a quiet balcony overlooking the stars. She thought of the first call she had sent, the fear in its voice, the doubt in her own heart. Footsteps sounded behind her. Approached, hands resting loosely at his sides. "Peace looks different after battle," he said softly. "It feels fragile," replied, "but real." "It grows stronger," said. "We return to our patrol routes soon, but your signal will never again be ignored." Looked at him. "You speak as if this is not the end, but a beginning." Nodded. "It is," he said. "Your call changed more than this one fight. It opened a door long sealed by fear and misunderstanding." Below them, the outpost gleamed with renewed strength. Lights shone through repaired windows. Laughter echoed faintly from restored living sectors. The next day, a formal council transmission arrived. Their message was cautious but clear. They wished to observe this new bond between the coalition and humanity. They wished to understand it. They wished to ensure peace was not threatened. Responded with steady truth. "Peace was not threatened by those who came," she said. "It was protected." As the human fleet prepared for departure, the entire station gathered near observation points. Hundreds of eyes watched as the great dreadnoughts slowly shifted formation. Human and alien voices filled the corridors with soft conversation and shared thanks. Hands were shaken, gestures exchanged, promises spoken quietly. Stood one last time before. "We will remain within reachable distance," he said. "If you need us again, you know how to call." "We hope we never need to," she replied, "but knowing you will answer changes everything." With a final nod, he turned and walked back toward the shuttle. Outside, the human fleet powered up their engines. Halos of light surrounded each vessel as space began to bend around them. One by one, they vanished into folded distance, leaving behind only silent stars and a healed outpost. Remained at the window, watching the final glow fade. She did not feel alone anymore. Approached quietly. "The people want to know what we will name this day," he said. She thought for a moment. "Call it the day they answered," she said, "and the day we learned the meaning of true allies." Smiled at her side. "The galaxy will speak of this," he said, "not with fear but with respect." And beyond the edge of their sector, far into the wide unknown, the human fleet continued its silent patrol. Not conquerors, not destroyers, but guardians shaped by a harsh world, guided by choice, and driven by a promise to stand where others would not. The SOS had been a cry of despair. The answer became a legend of strength and unity that would echo through time.